So we said, let's have the beautiful fort, a better fort, one, instead of two lesser forts that aren't as fun. So this one actually has the walkthrough. Disneyland has two forts, but nothing to do in either one of them. No attractions, no. So here it serves as the entrance. It's much bigger. You can play up in there and see Stories from the West, which was probably a good thing coming here because, it's not the neighborhood. It's far, far away. So as you start your journey into the West, it was a chance to kind of familiarize yourself with all the kind of characters that live in this land. And as I told you, what was very important, unlike any other Disney park, we were building Big Thunder on day one. So it is right there, right in the center. So, the excitement, Walt Disney called these weenies. I don't know why, but like a hot dog standing up like that. Yeah, a hot dog. And like people, they smell the hot dog and they want to go to it. And like, oh, there it is. And you'll see the train coming out, and it's very enticing. And so this whole stage about how you live in this world and what it looks like in this world is all determined just by visual. One of the most difficult challenges was the words, the haunted mansion. This was what would I call it, verbiage thing that I think it would be Les Maisons du Haunt. Would that be close to a French version of that? And we said, well, then an English-speaking person wouldn't understand it, So we looked for a lot of ways to call that would be readable by many different languages. And Phantom Manor is very close in both, at least in English and French, it's close. So we changed the name. And then the other thing we did, if you look at Disneyland, it's beautiful. It's all maintained. It looks like Main Street. It's gorgeous. And Walt Disney said, we'll take care of the outside and we'll let the ghosts take care of the inside. And we said, well, that's really neat if you have a plaque to read, well, I wouldn't look over there and say that Disneyland's is haunted. I have to read the sign that says, oh, this is the Haunted Mansion. But here, there's no question about it. You look over there and you go, whoa, okay, that must be where the ghosts are because it looks that way. So again, it's strengthening that visual storytelling element. We also did a major shift there that was due to the fact that we were building this park all at the same time. So directly behind that Haunted Mansion is the Grand Canyon, which is sort of like the fort. The fort is about culture that's coming into the West and starting a new world. In the Grand Canyon, it's about the nature of this area. So you're seeing the animals and the Grand Canyon itself. And then when that is over, it opens up and you're looking right out at Big Thunder for real. So I love that thought of like, oh, it's just a little diorama thing and then the wall moves by and you go, oh my God, they built this. It's really there and we're gonna get to go there later in the day. But at Disneyland, see, it came after the park was already built. So they put it in Tomorrowland. Big Thunder was one of my earliest jobs as we go to Frontierland now. And it was always an afterthought. It came at the very end. Frontierland had existed in California and Florida. They had been built, and now what land do we have where we could put Big Thunder? And whereas in Paris, we were starting from the ground, and so I said, let's put it right in the center. It's the most important attraction in that park. We'll put it right in the center. And the idea of putting it out on the island, I think, gave us the best Big Thunder there is in the world. Because to get to it, the ride has to go under the water to get out to that island. And at the end, the most spectacular thrill segment we've ever done, to get you back from that island, we have to hit a speed in the darkness that's probably unmatched anywhere on a Disney coaster to get back to the land. So the other thing it did is by being in the center, everywhere you go in Frontierland is enlivened by the excitement and the noise and the sounds and the visuals of those trains running around. It's sort of like the backdrop, whether you're over at Phantom Manor or you're over to the Chaparral stage, you've got that context of the great scene of the West. When we did a lot of research here in Paris, I would go to bookstores that were not tourist bookstores, but to local people that lived here in the smaller suburbs, and I'd look at what were their impressions of America. And they loved the West. It was very popular. They loved the Native Americans and that whole, what I would call John Ford, the great director, would showcase Monument Valley. And so that we knew we were on safe ground, because just as to me coming here to look at the beauty of the greenery and the villages and the swans on the rivers and everything is very culturally different than my dry California area, the whole idea of the Monument Valley and that deserty west with cactuses and so forth was very appealing from a European perspective, because it was so remote and distant. So we knew we were on safe ground of doing that, because to put that kind of a visual only 25, 30 minutes from the city is extraordinary. When you look at that and you say, we are about 40 minutes from the Eiffel Tower, and look at this view, it's stunning. And our landscape department goes to the trouble of every year about this time we bring out cactuses and succulents that are kept in storage all winter long, because they'd never make it through the winter, to enhance that look. So I'm very proud of the Frontierland. The layout of Big Thunder is modified to get from the station out under the water, and then it's the same. And then when it comes back, it's different. But that corrected the problem that Florida has and California has, that the last thrill segment is shortened, because when you come to the station, there still has to be enough energy to get you down to the start of the ride for the first lift. So we have to give up that amount of thrill in order to get the train out of the station. Whereas here, because you're going under the water, we get more thrill because we don't have to deal with that. So it corrected what I thought was you should have a continual, more excitement on each of those drops. So the first one is, you have, we have the spiral butte, I believe. No, that's in the second one. The first one has the drop through the splash, and then the second one is the spiral. And then the third one goes down under the water, so they're increasingly more exciting. So this is the only park that has that, because in California the spiral is the most thrilling part, and then the last one is lesser. So we were really proud that we were able to come up with a way to change the layout on that and make it so not only is it continually getting more exciting, but that you can see it from everywhere in that land. So when you're riding the boats or you're walking around, the Big Thunder becomes the symbol of the whole Frontierland, whereas it was always added later to, in Florida to the Frontierland, later at Disneyland, and the park was already developed, so it's kind of pushed into a corner. So here is the dramatic centerpiece for the land, and that's the only park. Even in Tokyo, it's over in the corner. So this is the only park where you look right through the fort as you go into that land, and right there to draw you in is the excitement of Big Thunder. So the placement here is the only park where it was part of the initial opening plan.
Pat Burke was one of the great assets we had in finding all this mining equipment. What you find with Imagineering is a lot of people have unique passions. And Pat's passion was to go throughout the American West and find these amazing artifacts from 150 years ago. Now, he couldn't afford to buy them. He just loved finding them and taking pictures. So you take someone like that whose passion would be to do that for free, just because he loves it, and you say, we're going to give you the greatest opportunity you've ever had. We're going to let you not only find all these things, but we're going to give you a budget to buy them. And because he was so, I think when you find someone who owns some of these things and you see someone who has real passion for your old antiques and things, you're willing to sell it for less money because you realize this person is going to take care of it. And Pat was really good at giving that impression, so he would go out there and say, I really love that. And he could talk about it. He could say, this is the finest stamp mill that I've ever seen, or the finest steam tractor, and boy, I'd sure love to have this. And he goes, oh, really? Okay. And then he buy it. And then he writes Walt Disney Imagineering. And they go, what? Because, but we got, again, there's an example of spending better. This Big Thunder is not only the most thrilling, but while you're walking by here, all these artifacts are absolutely real. They came from the American West. They are hundreds of years old. And they're the finest ones we have.
a major, major change here that everyone thought we were crazy and suggesting it was to put the loading over on this side of the river and the ride out there. And at first we thought, well, how you couldn't get the train up higher than that steam. And I said, no, we're not going to get it higher than that steam smokestack. It's going to go under the water, and then it only has to go down about 10 feet, you know. And so what that allows it to do, it gives an incredible boost to the very beginning of the ride. So you, whoa, you know, like right away you're going fast. So by putting it over there, we have to get all the way down there and then go back up very fast to get back in the station, which makes the ending a spectacular ending on this ride. And I think that alone is what pushed it over the top and made it. They all thought Space Mountain would be the, you know, the big one, but I think here, that combination that, you know, our landscape people here work very, very hard. You know, they've taken down a lot of the foliage to make it visible again, because the climate here is so comfortable for plants to grow, unlike California where nothing grows unless you water it. Here, if you just look away from it, it's green, and you've got, you know, swans swimming out here and everything, and big, beautiful trees. So keeping this land dry is really, really hard, but it gives you a look that you're not used to. Just like when we go into Adventureland and Frontierland at Disneyland, and they're all forested. We're used to living in a desert, so seeing those forests, people in California go, oh my gosh, it's just like we're in the country. This is amazing. We're in Anaheim in the middle of an industrial area in Los Angeles, and it's all a desert, and we have this beautiful forest. So I think the other thing that is really stunning here is in the summer, I don't think they brought them all out yet, but they bring out cactuses and succulents that are stored in greenhouses in the winter because they would die if they were left out here. And so having that look is so unique that you can board a train from Paris and be here in 40 minutes and you're somewhere else in the world, you know, and it looks real. But it's the great thing about Big Thunder, it is a roller coaster. We all know it's a roller coaster, but it doesn't look like a roller coaster. Every move that train makes it looks like, well, that's what they had to do. They couldn't let people go in the water, so they had to turn really sharp to get back. They're not going to come off the end of the cliff, so they had to turn the track to go that way. So we never let you see enough of it that you start to see that it's just like, I guess, spaghetti that looks like a pile of spaghetti with track going every which way. Then you'd know this is just a carnival ride. Instead, it looks like the mining people actually built these things to get their trains full of ore to where they need to go. And I think that's one of our biggest triumphs at Disney, is that we understand how much to show. Because you might say, well, why don't you show all the ride? Because that would be more exciting for us over here. But then it wouldn't look real. The teasing, we tease you. You see this come out, it goes around there, it goes over here. And you go, that must be amazing over there. I want to go and find out what that is. It's better than standing there and seeing it go up the hill and go down. And rockwork was there. You have to believe that that rock was there before we built any human things here. So everything that is human-made, like the bridges and the buildings, has to look like it was cut out of the rock that was already there. When you go to a lot of other parks, look at it and you'll see that it looks like the rock grew like a living thing growing around the building. And that is something that always really tells you right away this is not real, and it takes you out of the moment. We have a theory we call eliminating contradictions. Now what that means is when there's something that sticks out that doesn't belong in that area, then you lose the story and it goes away. And so like that's why when you look at that, everything looks right, even though in the back of your mind you know that there'd never be a train built like that. Nobody would build a train like that, but it's there and it looks real, so it works, you know. This area has changed a lot, as you know. We thought this would really be fun for the guests to do a real hoop and holler cookout with, bluegrass music and everything. And I think that's still that's pretty much as it was designed originally. What Walt was so concerned about in Tomorrowland and everywhere was having movement. So the Dumbo rides and people climbing tree houses and Big Thunder Mountain and all that, that makes the area exciting. When the Molly Brown comes in and the whistle is blowing, the area becomes more exciting. Even if you don't ride it, just seeing it come in, it's exciting to the guests to see that. And so that's kind of the importance for that. I know now it's become a children's area, so it's sort of, remember I told you we took out Tom Sawyer Island, so now you have kind of a smaller version of that with Pocahontas over here. We had a challenge the very first year the park opened. It was so crowded that we were given money right away to build more attractions. And they said, don't build big attractions, just build a lot of smaller attractions that can entertain the guests. So, for instance, in Discoveryland, we did the Nautilus, we did Storybook Land and Casey Jr., we did the train station in Discoveryland, we did the Passage of Aladdin, we did the Chaparral stage, and so and of course the Temple of Peril, yes, which Temple of Peril and I think Storybook Land and Casey all became major attractions, even though they were small, but they have been regarded by the guests as very important attractions. So even though our challenge was to make smaller things, I think, and the castle walkthrough, I forgot, I was trying to remind myself. But all of those were done very quickly, and they gave a lot of other places for people to walk through and see and spread the crowd around, and so they weren't all waiting on 5 major attractions.
The story of the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror really begins on the outside. You can tell that something mysterious happened at this hotel. And once you come inside, you learn what truly happened on that night. That lightning struck this hotel and transported a series of guests who were in an elevator into the Twilight Zone. And in this episode, we invite you as the guests to step back into that episode yourself and discover what truly happened to those people. And it's quite a thrilling adventure because you're going to step into an elevator just like they did, and you're going to drop 13 stories faster than gravity.
It is based on a true architectural style for Southern California. It's called Pueblo deco, and Pueblo is quite rightly so, the Indian nation, and it is really inspired from that particular section of the southwestern United States. You think of adobe structures, you think of American Indian influences, and it's also combined with deco, and what that means is it's the design style that took place in the mid-30s to mid-40s.
listening to KWDS, live at the glamorous Hollywood Tower Hotel.
Au-delà, c'est une autre dimension.
This is not an elevator, this is a ride system, and we specifically avoid the E word. It's a VVC, a vertical vehicle conveyance. The doors that look like these ones close, and the operator's gone now. The guests are on their own in an elevator cab, and they begin to move backwards.
Par une nuit d'orage il y a fort longtemps, 5 personnes passèrent les portes d'un ascenseur pour vivre un cauchemar. L'orage est maintenant de retour et les portes s'entr'ouvrent à nouveau. Mais cette fois-ci, elles s'ouvrent pour vous.
l'aventure totalement toquée de Remy is Remy's Wild Adventure. It's a new attraction for Walt Disney Studios in Paris, inspired by the beloved classic Ratatouille. As Imagineers, we're always looking at things that are created by our partners at Pixar and Feature Animation and the studios for a fit, for something that might become a land, an attraction, a restaurant, anything really. And when we saw Ratatouille, a light bulb went off and we said, wow, this would be a perfect thing to bring to Disneyland Paris, of course. And once we studied the movie further, we said, well, there's some things that we really feel like we want to do. One is the sequence in the movie where Remy falls into Gusteau's kitchen and has a crazy time. That's so much fun. What if we were to bring that to life for our guests? What if our guests could become the size of Remy and feel what it's like to be a rat in this enormous kitchen? And beyond that, wouldn't it be fun if Remy could cook a meal for us and we could actually eat in his restaurant? So those were the two starting points for what now has become what we call Place de Remy, which is a mini land that will be new and unique to Walt Disney Studios in Paris.
How would we bring the world of Ratatouille to life inside Disneyland Paris? And we said, we want to be the size of a rat. It's always fun to be small and be in a giant world. So we wanted to be with Remy on his adventure as we go through Gusteau's kitchen and his dining room and find ourselves in Remy's Paris.
What's really fun about Bistro chez Remy is that the story of our attraction is that Remy is preparing a meal for us. And so we thought, well, what would be better than actually creating a real restaurant where you could eat the meal that Remy's prepared for you? It probably is the first time we've ever had an attraction like this where the storyline of the attraction leads to a dining experience at the end, and it all ties together. So that's, I think, is what's so cool about it. Remy's cooking for you, and if you choose to, you can actually go to his restaurant where everything is overscaled. The tables, the chairs, the menus. It's just a big fantasy space with a great meal. What often starts at Imagineering as a very simple idea turns out to be a very complex project. And in the case of Ratatouille, we've been working on it for almost 5 years.
Nothing's impossible. We're creating reality of dreams of people, and so nothing's impossible. And in the eyes of our visitors, it becomes an absolutely amazing experience because we've made something which is generally impossible actually real and possible.
So to create the ambience for our new project, we of course started with the film Ratatouille. It's a very sophisticated visual environment, and it's also a very sophisticated audio environment. So that was our base point, and we put everything together in a different way because we changed the perspective. We want our public to be as small as Remy, and so that was something that we exaggerated in creating our new environment.
I think for our guests, anytime you do what we call a scale change attraction, where we shrink you down and the world around you changes scale from what it normally is, it's fun. It's just fun and you want to do it. And in Ratatouille, the notion was we're going to shrink you down to Remy's size and see the world as he saw it, see the kitchen, see the pantry, see Gusteau's restaurant, see the rooftops of Paris from a perspective and scale that you would never be able to do in real life. And that, I think, will be one of the major attractions of this mini land and of the new show and restaurant that we're creating. You're stepping into a world that is completely giant-sized. Really cool.
The world of Paris in the movie Ratatouille is a caricature of the real Paris. It is a romantic vision of what Paris is, and we wanted to figure out how to boil that essence out and bring it to life in the Disney park.
We start our story in the Paris of Ratatouille in the streets, and we enter into what looks like a theater, a live theater, that's putting on this production. But very quickly we change the scale from human size to rat size, and now you're on the rooftops of Paris in an enormous size. And as you board your Ratmobiles and travel through this attraction, you're going to enter into oversized sets inspired by scenes from the movie. So, for example, you might be in the pantry, the refrigerator from Ratatouille, where everything is enormous. Giant oranges, a giant fish, giant ham suspended above you. And you really get the sensation of what Remy got when he went into that pantry, or into the restaurant, the dining room, where you're down underneath a cheese cart, and the tables and everything around you are enormous. I think the guests are going to have so much fun stepping into this oversized world of Remy's world and having this crazy adventure with Remy and all the characters from the film.
What's fantastic about Imagineering and Pixar alike is we're always looking to use the newest technology to allow us to create experiences that never were possible before. And that's what we've done with the Ratatouille attraction.
I think we have about, I'd say about 6, 7 different countries that are involved in the fabrication of this attraction. They stem from France, Europe, the United Kingdom, Romania, Spain, Italy, the United States of America. It's a combination of a lot of different companies who have specialities, which we bring together from the different countries that they work in.
This attraction is very new for us. For one thing, we're introducing a new ride system, a ride system that virtually is trackless, where the vehicles that you ride in can go forward, can go backward, can spin, can tilt, can shake. Very, very new for us. And in addition, we're combining 3D media and physical set pieces in a way that we've never done before. So putting those all together, it's a brand new, very breakthrough kind of show experience for us, and will totally be for our guests.
We're using physical sets, gigantic physical spaces, to shrink you to the size of a rat. And then we're using completely brand new animation created custom for this attraction to extend that experience and bring the characters to life.
One of the other pieces of the puzzle that I kind of look after is what we call show programming. Show programming is when we basically take the ride elements and the show elements and put them together and have basically a computer programmer who is sitting there and who ties the show together so that the lights come on at the right time, the video projection starts at the right time, the audio goes at the right time. And that is an important piece for us because it really does create the story and knits the story together properly for our visitors.
One of the things that's not obvious to our public is that this show is a very highly technical show. It is like an iceberg. What the public sees is the top of the iceberg, and what we do is the bottom of the iceberg. It's invisible, it's there to support the story, it shouldn't be seen, and if we achieve that in an invisible way, then we have a great show.
Obviously, the real Paris exists very close by to Disneyland Paris, so there's no need to build Paris exactly as it looks there. What we sought to do was bring to life the Paris of Ratatouille. We worked very closely with our colleagues at Pixar, who had spent a great deal of time for the movie determining how to create a romanticized, stylized view of Paris. We worked closely with the tools that they created and then adapted them with our tools to say, how do you build that stylized world in 3 dimensions that our guests can actually step through, dine in, ride through, which took a lot of adaptation. But in the end, our goal is to create the Paris of Ratatouille.
It's our goal to create an attraction that no one has ever experienced before. And it's that passion and that artistry and that commitment that the collaboration between Pixar and Imagineering is about bringing worlds to life in ways that no one has ever seen. I believe that the Ratatouille attraction is unlike any experience that guests have ever had in any park, and never even in a Disney park.
In the Ratatouille film, there's a very brief scene at the end where we get to see Remy's restaurant. And we were very inspired by that and said, wouldn't it be fun if we could create that restaurant for our guests? And it's a very simple thing to ask, but in reality, it took an enormous amount of time and work from our team to bring it to life. Because in Remy's restaurant, he takes human objects that in their world would be gigantic enough to become tables, chairs, etc. So a ramekin becomes the base of a tabletop, and a jelly jar becomes the tabletop that you can sit at. and a giant fork becomes where you hang your jackets. I mean, it was incredibly fun for our team to create this overscaled restaurant for our guests to dine in. And I think it will be one of the highlights of this new Miniland, that you not only get to take a great adventure with Remy, but at the end of the adventure, you can actually dine in his restaurant in this fantasy world.
The interesting part about this media for this attraction is because of the 3D, because of the huge size of the screens and how the super high resolution, it took as long to what we call render the film, or it's almost like cook the film. It took as long to make this footage as it did the film in rendering. That's the crazy part.
Creating large-scale sets has been challenging but extremely fun. The fact that they're very big means that we have to pay special attention to the imperfections and the details that are exaggerated when you're small. It means that the logistics of getting them from one place to the other was kind of complicated, but very, very challenging, but very fun.
We involved Harley Jessup, who was the original production designer of Ratatouille, and he came and he worked with the Imagineers. He worked with Beth and the whole team in crookedizing all the buildings. And so it's a process that he came up with over at Pixar when we made the film, to crookedize and make everything a little bit off. And there are two main characters of the attraction. There's Remy the rat and the little chef, the petit chef, and there is Paris, the lovely city.
As Imagineers, we totally wanted to immerse our guests in the world of Ratatouille. And the most fun for our guests, I think, will be when we shrink you down to the size of Remy and you get to experience the world as he experienced it. So not only will architecture be large, but you'll actually have other senses engaged as you go through the storyline. So for example, when you go into the pantry, you will not only see gigantic oranges and things, but you'll smell the oranges as you go past. When you find yourself in that iconic moment that Remy did of being under the broiler, you'll actually feel the heat of the flames from the broiler when you're underneath it. You'll see the gigantic wheels of the cheese cart turning as you go into the dining room, and you'll feel the pop of the champagne cork when it explodes in front of you. So we're using all the tricks that we have, everything that we can, to make the fantasy as believable as possible, but also as fun as possible for our guests.
The attraction Ratatouille is a wonderful, immersive extension of the film Ratatouille, and it's a lot of fun.
You saw the posters when you enter Disneyland Park. Entering the Disneyland Park is like entering into a movie, and these posters show you what to expect in the movie.
Yeah.
You are entering today, so you're gonna do Big Thunder Mountain, Phantom Manor, and so on.
And now we are going to the other posters, just on another side.
Other side, other posters.
Yes. Other side.
Show me, Jordi. Show me. Lucky Nugget.
Yeah.
And don't forget, Jordi, it's filming today. We will be filming at various locations with Jordi and Disneyland Park today. If you do not wish to appear in film scenes, please avoid this area. En we nog bezig zijn met Jordi en Erika today.
Ik had er nog een keer in de Twilight gezet. En dan zet ik naar mij ook al.
Illuminations, Gibson Girl Ice Cream. Peter Pan. Wat hè? Ja, Jordi.
Ja?
Dat is hier geen attractie.
Nee, ik heb honger. Lekker. Oei. De deur is nog gesloten. Ik dacht lekker visje eten met kikkertjes, maar ja.
Something special. No consumos frogolegus.
Oei.
Don't eat frog legs.
Oei, ik dacht dat je kikkers kon eten.
En toethol. Nee, toethol.
Eat no frogs legs.
Don't eat frog legs.
Nee. Ja, ik heb het een beetje anders verteld. Ja, voilà.
Very special at Disneyland Paris.
Mangez pas le grenouille.
Oké.
Dat zijn toch kikkers in
Ja.
Is dat frog?
Toethol. Jordi en de Reen.
Ja. We gaan vandaag...
Toethol.
Ja, toethol. Geen kikkers eten. Nochtans, kikkerbelletjes zijn wel een keer lekker. Vooral met loka en veel boter, maar...
Ja, hé.
Oké. Ze zeggen dat je dat niet mag eten. Maar ja, weet je wat er ook een leuke grap is? Donald Duck is hier en een beetje verder kun je Donald Duck gaan eten.
Gelakte eend.
Ja. Ja.
Duck.
Maar ze hebben hier wel visjes in de plaats. In plaats
Ja,
van de kikkers moet je de visjes opeten.
Ja.
Ja.
Inderdaad.
Goed, ik
Dag,
denk dat we
Erika.
een verschuiling moeten zoeken vandaag.
Don't eat frog legs. Nee.
Oké, dat kan niet graag.
Toethol is een attractie in Anaheim.
Ja, we moeten er dringend naartoe.
Dus in Parijs is dat een restaurant.
Ja, we gaan
Oké.
op de nieuwste attractie van Disneyland Parijs.
Ja.
De kikkerride.
Brr, brr.
Ja. Echt
Next.
waar het.
In the rain.
Je kunt er carnavalfestival in.
It's singing in the rain met Jordi.
Ja, die eerste scène.
Singing in the rain.
Die eerste scène.
Dat is Erika.
Singing in the rain.
Ja, Jordi, something special at the
Yeah.
entrance of Adventureland.
Yeah, we have a very special object.
And what is it? Do you see it already, Jordi? No? Where is it? Where is it? I see it. This includes WDI, Walt Disney Imagineering.
Ja.
W and then D and the I.
Ja, het was hier ergens.
Yep. And this is at Adventureland entrance. Did you see it already, Jordi?
Ja.
WDI.
Ja. Ja.
Walt Disney Imagineering.
Ja.
Next.
Ja, luister. Wat is Ja, man. Kom maar weg.
Special effect. Heartbeat.
Dat is al gedaan.
He's dead.
Weet je het?
He's dead. Wake him up. Jordi, wake him.
Dan doet ze kist te kruipen.
Ah!
Ja. Jawel, hè?
Vasile Sirli, music director at Disneyland Paris.
My name is Sylvain. I'm working as a sound engineer here in the recording studio in Disneyland Paris.
Hi, I'm Michael Obst and I'm the senior sound engineer for Disneyland Paris. Also, these are the Macs for Studio A and B. This is the server, the hard drive.
And backups go to disk or to tape eventually?
Both.
Both, okay.
Both. We've got a backup on hard drive and we've got the LTO.
That's the old equipment.
Yes.
Michael Obst, il est multi-sound engineer. Il faut savoir que à fur et à mesure, ou soit dès le départ, il y a des musiciens, des ingénieurs du son qui sont spécialisés, qui deviennent spécialistes en musique symphonique, spécialistes en jazz, spécialistes en rock, spécialistes en quelque chose, ou des musiciens pour le live, ou des musiciens pour le studio.
We zijn erin. Yay!
Yay!
Live animatronics.
Ja, dat de duven. Zijn er dan nog hier?
Pigeon animatronics. Ja, ik weet het.
Ja. Ligt die nog frik?
Verbrande fritten.
Ja.
Ja.
Hallo Erika.
Hello. So we're there. Hello. I'm going to film Disneyland. Oh, we are in Disneyland Paris. He's talking about Disneyland. No, Paris.
You can make a telephone call on Disneyland Paris.
Yes. Ik ga to Disneyland in Amerika.
Searching for chewing gum at Disneyland Paris.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. I find it.
Nope.
Nope? You think so?
Nope. No chewing gum.
Oh yeah. Okay. Erika gaat zo achter een cyclijn.
Hera moet zo achter chewing gum.
Ik kan gewoon lachen.
Ja. Dit is een verkeerd antwoord.
Ja, dat is zeker. Erika is zeer slim, want ze kiest van de eerste keer. Ik wil popcorn.
Wil je popcorn?
Ja, met snopcorn.
1 kilo, 2 kilo, 3 kilo?
6 kilo.
6 kilo popcorn.
Ja. Mooi. 67 euro voor een kilo spekjes. De bonbon. En een speciale ding.
Bonbon de Toy Story.
Ja, bonbon de Toy Story.
Can I ask you a question? Is it true that Disney parks don't sell chewing gum?
No.
Okay.
No, because they don't want the people to throw them
Ah, okay. Yeah. No chewing gum, Jordi.
Jammer. Maar wel veel snoepjes.
Er zijn toch veel mensen die dat niet wisten, hè? Domweg
Nee.
chewing gum. Ze zeggen het ook hier omdat ze het niet op straat zo smitten en er niet eens op laten.
Ja.
Dus dat is een weetje, dat eigenlijk niemand peest erover na, hè? Maar het is wel zo. Ik heb nu rechtstreeks van de castmember.
Ja, moet eigenlijk eerlijk zijn. Ik ken daar ja, ik zie kletten niet veel. Hè, dus...
Nee, ik ook niet, maar je zult er niet over napezen.
Nee, maar ik zit daar ook niet op zoek achter. Snap je?
So guys, no chewing gum. Only sweets. Sweets for Jordi.
Ja, maar ik zit een keer aan het vloeren, nee.
Searching for hidden Mickeys. Found them.
Ja. Looky. Look. It's the hidden Mickey can.
She got the Coca-Cola.
Jullie kunnen Coca-Cola bij, ja. Coca-Cola.
No chewing gum. Castmember said no chewing gum.
No chewing gum.
Dat is niet erg.
Nee, dat is niet erg, maar ik wil dat ik heb weten.
Dus ja.
Ik ook niet, maar ja. Het tusje.
Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you.
Hello.
Oh.
The jungle, first one on your right.
Hello.
Have fun.
Secret place in Adventureland. Finally.
Welcome. You did it.
DJI Osmo Pocket.
Yeah.
Hello, thank you.
You're welcome. c'est ça.
Hey Philip, you like this place?
Yeah, it's so hot inside the tent.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
Now you have to sleep inside the tent.
No, please, no.
Without air conditioning.
Officers, we are here now. Unique place.
Oh,
Thanks
Mickey.
for
It's
our
okay,
friends
it's
that
okay.
can find this place.
Started.
I was so bad to find it.
How many jungle pieces do you have?
Okay,
Shall we go
let's
that
stay.
way to find
Yes. Go and I follow you.
Up we go!
Bye bye. Bye bye. On se revoit pour de belles aventures. Peut-être qu'il y a encore plein de mystères à résoudre ici. À bientôt.
Hey Mickey, hey Minnie. How are you guys? Camping out, yeah.
Okay, you ready? Smile. Okay, that's perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mickey.
Group back. Perfect.
Great time.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. That's for you.